tried everything and you're still stuck and nothing has worked, this will actually work. Hypnotherapy. Work for what? Well, for things like chronic anxiety, procrastination, self-sabotage, self-doubt, irrational fear, like fear of public speaking, the number one fear, fear of driving, fear of flying, just to name a few examples, fear of dogs, and even those pesky, unwanted habits, behaviors, addictions, they call this in our society, which again, such a big, scary, threatening word when the truth is, it is just a habit. I'm not trying to take away from it, not trying to take away. I understand the severity, how frustrating it can be to be under the regime of an addiction and feel like there's nothing you can do. That is absolutely not true. All these things that I just mentioned, people typically come to me, they're at their wits' end. They have exhausted all possibilities. They have, often blamed themselves, shamed themselves, criticized and judged themselves, thinking that, oh, I am the problem. I am weak. There's something wrong with me. Everybody else can do it, but I can't do it. And I'm here to tell you that is inaccurate. That is not true. And so many times I will hear the exact same words from hundreds of different people. I have already been to therapy. I have already read the books. I have done the motivational videos. I have tried positive thinking. I have tried visualization and meditation and regurgitation and the affirmations, and only to find out the problem is still there. Please understand, this is not a personality flaw. This is not because your brain chemistry is faulty or whatever the medical society is trying to tell you. This also doesn't mean that you need 10 more years of therapy, because here's the thing. If those things that you have tried, if they work, they would have worked by now, don't you think? Now, this comes from somebody who insists and promises people that you should find relief even after just one session, okay? Otherwise, what's the point? Why would we continue doing something over and over and over, hoping that we'll get a different result with the same tactic? When do we think that it might just kick in? And this is where people, it breaks my heart. People will come to me and say, I've been to therapy for decades. My life still isn't different. I still have all this guilt and all this shame. I still can't be in the present moment with my family. No matter where I go, there's my anxiety. My anxiety doesn't know that I'm on vacation. It doesn't know that it's a holiday. It doesn't know that I want to connect with my family over dinner. My shame, doesn't let me speak publicly, whatever it might be. Because, yeah, you're right. Wherever you go, there you are. And wherever we are, regardless of the environment, regardless of the circumstances, regardless how beautiful the weather is, or regardless who the president is or isn't, whatever we hold inside of us, that is what will control our behavior, our thoughts, our feelings. Right? And please, hats off to you. If you already, number one, you've identified the problem, you have already sought help, you have already exhausted all these things, and you're still not better, then I promise you, this is not a you problem. This is a matter of the approach problem. The approach that you have been told you should try isn't working. And this is what breaks my heart, because I hear on a daily basis, people have gone to therapists and psychologists and psychiatrists and doctors and specialists with their anxiety, with their depression, with self-doubt, with fear, with I don't feel comfortable in my own skin. And even after doing, nothing has changed. And that's when I first started doing this work, I'm like, this makes no sense. I never really studied psychology as it is studied in school and college. And yet my tools actually work. My approach actually works. What's going on here? what's going on is that the training is different. And I actually help people be free of this problem for once and for all, because these tools actually work. And again, when nothing else has worked, hypnotherapy works. Why? Because hypnotherapy works with your subconscious, and your subconscious is the keeper of your emotions. Okay? So when somebody has anxiety and fear and self-doubt, procrastination, self-sabotage, as an example, that is driven by an emotion. That's not driven by logic. The logic tells us I should, hold myself together. I should be further along. I should have figured this out. I should do more positive thinking. That's all logical. But if the problem is driven by an emotion, now why is it driven by an emotion? Because something happened a long, long time ago. There is a story that is very deep, that is very old, that probably you don't even remember. And you don't need to for the sake of this conversation. But that story is still controlling your behaviors. And that, once we get to the root of the problem can disappear. So I hope this makes sense, because again, the key message here is we need to understand what is driving the fear, what is driving the anxiety, what is that story that is still attached. A great example of this is I will meet professionals. They are brilliant, smart, capable, competent, educated, experienced. I mean, you name it. They're literally the creme de la creme of the people. Okay, they are the expert in their field, but they have fear of public speaking. It makes no logical sense. You tell me, does that make sense? They know their stuff inside out. You could literally wake them up at 3 o'clock in the morning. They can regurgitate their stuff backwards, forward, and 3 times over. So it's not for a lack of knowledge. It's not, right? It's not for lack of logic. They have studied their craft. They are exceptional professionals, human beings. What's with the fear? Well, the fear is driven, right? Obviously, it's emotion. The fear is driven by an old story. They don't remember it. They don't even know it happened. They have buried it. And again, it doesn't matter for the sake of this conversation. But once we get to the bottom of why does this person have fear of speaking in the first place, and we can help them understand, connect the dots, really get to the root of this. And then we reprogram the subconscious. A simple way of saying that is, remember, up until now, this person, anytime they walk in the boardroom, they're triggered with anxiety. They're triggered with feeling self-conscious. They're triggered with feeling nervous. They're triggered with feeling, oh, I can't speak, and heart palpitations, panic, yeah? Well, when we reprogram the mind, the subconscious, which is responsible for emotions, we can tell the subconscious, the trigger is the boardroom, but this is how I want you to respond. I want you to respond with confidence. I want you to respond with comfortable. I want you to respond with calm. And any subconscious mind has the capacity and the capability to do that with the right tools. But talking about the problem mercilessly and diagnosing people and, again, regurgitating the same information over is not the solution to help somebody change. We need to go fundamentally. We need to go to the level of where change actually happens. And that is at the subconscious. And that's why staying at the surface, I know everybody likes to be in the penthouse. No problem. That's great. The view is wonderful from up there. But we're still staying very surface level. We got to go to the basement. We got to go to the root cause. We got to go to, yes, there's cobwebs. It's not comfortable. It's not convenient. I get that. It's not for everybody. Not for everybody. I'm not going to lie to you. Might get uncomfortable. I know it's a dark, deep place. And this is really only for people who are willing to take responsibility. They're willing to take accountability. They're willing to look at what is causing me from living my best life. What is causing me from being my best self? What is causing this fear, this irrational self-doubt, this playing small, this accepting mediocrity? What is causing that? And if you're willing to look at that and spend a little bit of time in the basement, don't worry, we'll turn the lights on. We're going to make it as comfortable for you as we possibly can. And I will hold your hand. But once we open those old boxes and you can understand and be like, oh my God, now that makes sense. And so with that comes a lot of relief and comes a lot of understanding. And instead of you berating yourself and shaming yourself and beating yourself up and, calling yourself all these names that you should have figured this out. Again, how's that working for you? It doesn't, because it makes things worse. And instead of that, you can actually begin to apply something that works, that will help you give back your power, your control, your confidence. You tap into this unrealized potential that is there. I promise you it's there. But how could you possibly see it if it's buried underneath all of the stress, underneath all of those old stories, all of those limitations, all of those ways people think they're inadequate? You can't possibly see that, nor can you touch it or tap into it. So we got to clear out some of these things that are no longer serving you. And once we do, you will be amazed. And as if for the first time in your life, you will look in the mirror and you will have awe and reverence for yourself. That's another promise. But as I said, this is not for everybody. You guys have any questions, you want to connect with me, you know where to do that. I got to get ready for my next phone call now. I'm open to any questions, thoughts, whatever ideas. Ultimately, though, right? When you have already exhausted everything and you still feel stuck, and you know deep down inside, you know that you're meant for a better life, you're meant for more, you're meant for happiness, you want to be fulfilled, and you want to just get out of that, darkness that so many people are stuck in right now. Please remember, this is not a you problem. And this is also, again, even though you've exhausted all the help and you've tried everything, this is not your fault. It's just you haven't found the approach that actually works yet. See you soon.